Ah, look at these
Oh, look at
two.
these two. All right, come
Could
on.
be having an
Look
affair or are they
at.
just
Oh,
very shy? Did you see them? I don't know.
either
Not
they're
good
having an
anyway. But
affair
it's
or
gone
they're just very
viral and
shy.
I think it's hilarious.
Sorry, sir. Doing my best.
It's a solar one, a sci-fi podcast.
Right. Welcome to the episode 220 of the So On Sci-Fi podcast. I'm Michael Ball. I'm joined once again by my faithful co-host, Malcolm Patterson. I almost said Martin Fowler then. Martin is busy. He's doing what he's always doing, but he's doing lots of stuff for YouTube. He's making these little film segments. I'm doing sort of graphics for him and things like that. So hopefully he's going to be back sooner or later, rather than later. We are talking about having a big summer break as well, which should be interesting because as most people would know, that we've been doing this for 5.5 years. Obviously, Malcolm's not been for that long, but you've been on for about 9 months, 10 months. I mean, when did you first start doing it?
Maybe.
Might be a bit
I
longer
can't
than
remember
that.
now. I can't remember.
I think you did the first one was the Peter
Yeah,
Cushing movie one. I think that's one of your early.
yeah. I think that was the first one.
And that might have been about.
Yeah.
It's getting on a bit anyway, but you've been very ever faithful, and you're always providing information. Let's obviously talk about some current stuff because we've not been here for a while. I suppose we've got to talk about Strange New Worlds. That's the biggest one. I've seen the first 2 episodes. Let's get your perspective. What did you think of them?
I like the first episode. I did go back and watch the end of season 2 just to remind myself, which I'm glad I did because for some reason I had in my mind that the end of season 2 was the episode based on Balance of Terror from TOS, but that was the end. That was the end of season 1. So I'm glad I went back and rewatched it.
Okay, that's
and it
good.
all came flooding back to me. But I really like season. The only thing I didn't like about season 1 was they kind of too many of the cast in it are kind of future proof. We know they don't die. We know they don't get killed.
That's the problem with the whole making this prequel.
Yeah, so they have this kind of shield armor about them, but we have other characters who actually can die, and what have you. And
I like the new characters.
I thought they were going to take it up to the point where they were going to kill Ortega off.
I thought,
because
I did.
No disrespect to the actress.
Yeah,
she is the most annoying character on the show. I can't stand the character,
really?
not the actress, the character. I can't stand her. And then when they had her like, oh, die and then not die, that really pissed me off. Like nuclear level pissed me off. They should have just like pulled the pin and got rid of them. But one of the best characters of the whole of Strange New Worlds was the engineer whose name escapes me.
Pelia.
Pelia. No, not Pelia. The blind guy from the blind Andorian.
The Anar character.
Yeah.
I can't remember his
That was it. I mean, he was excellent, and yet they killed him off without a second
I think the actor. The actor was actually blind, and I think that originally he was going to stick with it, but I think he found the schedule of the way they do it just too much for him.
Okay, maybe.
And
then we got to the. That's it. Then we got to the second episode, and that was just a pile of shit. The whole entire Spock Christine Chapel love story thing annoys the hell out of me. To be fair, Spock was very much introduced in TOS as somebody who had no emotional, unless you take the original Cage pilot where he smiles once. He has no emotion. He has no interest in women. He didn't even care about the woman he was betrothed to. And now suddenly they're giving all this backstory. Now I know he could become hardened now that she's gone off with Roger Corbett.
They've got to do something.
That could be when he just goes fuck this. Yeah, maybe that's when he just goes fuck this. Colinar's the path for me. I don't know, but I never got any interest in I never got the impression that there was anything between them in TOS. And those kind of mixed reality things annoy me anyway.
I watched the episode of TOS with Roger Corby, What a Little Girl's Made Of, I think it's called. And there's one thing. Exactly. I actually was listening for his accent in the original episode. He hasn't got an Irish accent. If it is, it's very minor. It sounds more like.
Isn't the Roger Corby in the TOS episode? Isn't he an android himself? I can't remember now.
He was. He was an android by the time they. So unless the android lost the accent.
Yeah, and Christine wasn't really bothered by it, or
No.
didn't notice.
I mean, I can only assume that they're going to have to be some traumatic thing where Spock will completely shut off his emotions and become the Spock that we know. But again, the more they're doing, especially with the Gorn, and then they had the best of both worlds resolution, where all the Gorn went to sleep at the end, like the Borg did in that episode. I mean, it's really, really hard to say that this is not a parallel universe. It's they're saying it is direct prequel in the same universe as TOS, but it's getting harder and harder. It's separating. They're so different now.
Yeah, I mean the Khan debacle last year that people kept trying to. I had so many arguments on Facebook. People trying to justify that whole nonsense of them changing the time period. I was saying, well, the time period doesn't match up, and they're going, "Oh yeah, but I said, "Okay, so if these guys are going in there to protect, so why did they allow that to happen?" And they go, "Well, there's only certain things they can change." And I was like, "Okay, so a major thing like that
a
they allowed to
predestination
change."
kind of thing.
But they were there to stop a smaller thing being changed. Absolute nonsense, absolute rubbish. It was just shit writing.
So do you? I mean, what is your? I mean, we have talked about this before. What is your general opinion of Strange New Worlds? Do you think it's just a very mixed bag? Has it got some positives?
I like most of the first series. I think the sets are fucking amazing. I think the sets and the special effects are just awesome. They're what Discovery should have been. And I know people have said to me, "Oh, it's exactly the same." I don't personally
No,
believe
it's
it is.
better.
I think you can make a very very specific difference between the way the two have been done. The only thing I don't like about Strange New World Enterprise is I will never get that plexiglass view screen. We never had that. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's nonsense. One stray asteroid hits the front of that and it's game over. That would be proper.
Discovery was a glass view screen, whereas
Discovery was as well.
yeah, but what I'm saying before, I mean,
Enterprise has it now.
This started the Kelvin timeline movies. Before that, a screen it was actually a digital screen. It wasn't a physical glass. And then they started out with the Kelvin, which they took on board. And the only time they've not done it in New Trek was Picard seasons 2 and 3 on the Stargazer and the Titan, which was a proper view screen again. It was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was actually.
Exactly.
But because you can see the exterior, it wasn't like a window.
Yeah. I mean, cast-wise, I think they're right.
Anson Mount, I think he's fabulous. I think he's a great actor. And he's
really good. If I'm honest, if nobody's seen it, I do recommend you watch Hell on Wheels. He is infinitely better in that than he is in this, and he's brilliant in this.
What's the one where he actually co-stars with Colin Meaney? Is that Hell on Wheels? He's
That's
in a
Hell
Western.
on Wheels. Yeah.
That is it. Yeah,
Hell on Wheels.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm a big fan of Colin Meaney as well.
Brilliant.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I like Jess Bush. I think she's a fun little character. The La Noonien Singh, what's her name? Christina Chang. She's a great character as well. I really, arguably one of my favorite characters in it is Dr. Mbenga. I don't know.
Oh, I like Mbenga. Yeah.
His demeanor, his voice, everything about him is just amazing.
And of course, he appeared in TOS as well in 2 episodes.
Yeah, the new Scotty that they've got in there is just crap. I mean, I never thought we'd see a worse Scottish accent than James Doohan did. And then his son came along.
This guy is actually Scottish.
But it just sounds awful. It's like he's trying to do a Scottish accent on top of his own accent. It's really weird.
Sort of exaggerated.
I don't know. It's like he's trying to Scotty it up. Yeah. It's just I'd like to hear him talk normally just to see how he actually talks normally, whether it's the same and it's just his accent or whether he is trying to Scottify the accent.
We've only seen him in 3 episodes, so I'm going to give it a benefit of the doubt. But
I can't
really.
Pelia, again, great actress, but dear God, she's annoying.
So what is it about Pelia's character you don't like? Because we haven't been seeing a lot, really. I mean, we've seen her brother in that. But go on.
It's almost like she's comedy relief, but not comedy relief. And like she's really serious. She's obviously very good at her job. She's taught Scottish. She does that. She solves things. She's like everything we've come to expect from an engineer. But then she's also a little bit dippy and stupid with it. And it's just like, okay, if you're going to make her comic relief, make her comic relief. But don't give her this quirky, silly personality that just you wouldn't get very far in a military hierarchy, and despite what people say, Starfleet ships have a military hierarchy. They do. It's based on the American military. I know there's a lot of people say it's not. It's an escalation ship, but it is 100% based on the American Navy. American Air Force. No, American Navy. Yeah.
But the actress, I mean, I only ever saw her in Taxi, the old sitcom, and she was also in Scrooged. And her characters in those episodes are kind of similar. They have a similar sort of
pretty much the same. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she's a bit of a
kind of trick character, isn't she? Kind of thing, actress.
Yeah.
So I do get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So that's what's happening with Trek. So far, I'm quite enjoying it. Alien Earth is coming in a couple of weeks' time, so we could talk about that once we come back. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Are you checking out the new Superman or Jurassic Park?
I will be checking it out. I haven't yet. I wasn't really interested in going to the cinema to see it. Because the trailer just looked good. I mean, a cinema now, I don't know what it is around your neck of the woods, but I think it cost me about £27 to go now.
It really,
something
really
ludicrous. I'm not wasting that on a film that's probably crap.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a bit underwhelmed with the whole new Superman film thing. I'm sick and tired of it, quite frankly. There's been so many versions of it, and I can't be asked anymore. I mean, it's, for me, Christopher Reeve is the only definitive Superman. And we've had these remakes and things, and there've been so many TV versions of it, and I'm kind of a bit burnt out on Superman.
Honestly, for me, Henry Cavill was much better.
What, than Christopher Reeve?
Yeah. Christopher Reeve was great. He was really good. Tom Welling, when he played young Superman in Smallville, he's also very good. Very annoyingly written.
You've seen all these TV versions. I haven't seen all these TV versions.
But yeah, he's good. And while I've only seen a couple of episodes, the Tyler Hoechlin guy is quite good as well. But for me, Henry Cavill was the best of it. He was the most alien.
I'm not the biggest Superman fan. But I mean, if that's how you feel, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure that Martin would be chiming in because he's a big superhero fan. I don't mind superhero films, but there's not. I mean, one thing this podcast has taught me is that even if you like science fiction, there are so many different elements in science fiction that you like, whether you prefer superheroes or comic characters or proper science fiction or horror or even comedy, which we talk about tonight. This film. It's a very broad canvas. So even if you say, I like science fiction, and we like science fiction, we can have very different opinions. And I think that's quite interesting.
I mean, imagine films like Android and Silent Running. What umbrella would you put? I mean, in science fiction, but what would you put them under? They're not really dramas. They're not action films.
Silent Running
is pew, pew,
Silent Run is more like a drama. It's sort of it's a sort of
they're just thinkers,
downbeat
really.
drama, and it's also about environment, and about loneliness, and about trying to move on when things are falling apart around him. Silent Running's a classic. I mean, we did review it. Lovely film. But as you say, some of these films are quite hard to put into defining exactly what genre they are in the science fiction genre kind of thing. So, as you say, you can get big films in space battles, you can get the comedy films, you can get the horror films, and it's a big canvas. And that's one thing that always annoys me is that they've been apparently Doctor Who, which we thought about that, as being nominated for its first ever Emmy in 62 years. I fucking hate these award ceremonies. They hate science fiction. They turn the noses up at my favorite genre. Go on.
First person I see that said, it's been nominated for an Emmy, and I was straight on and said, you know what? The winners of the Emmys are generally absolute shit, and they overlook decent shows. So the chances are Doctor Who will win.
Oh no, that's true. But I fucking hate those award ceremonies. I think they're all the biggest load of shit that's ever been, and I'll never watch any.
Yeah, it's all backpatting, and it's
bollocks.
It's a giant boys' club.
Yeah.
Even the one, I can't remember which one it is, but even the one that's voted by, I don't know, the readers of the fucking Radio Times or something, even that's bullshit, because a very small number of people read the Radio Times, and even less than them bother their ass to vote.
No,
so even that one's shit. But the big ones, the Grammys, the Oscars, the Emmys, and even probably the Tonys, they're not voted on by any fans. They're a committee of
It's a boys' club.
back scratching
Yeah.
morons that vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
So why would I give a shit what they think about it?
No, exactly. I mean, they're even worse than critics, and I don't really care what they think.
Yeah,
if I'm honest.
I mean, it's often best just to go watch a film yourself and just decide if you like it or not. Now we have got a short one tonight. So is there anything that you want to talk about before we go into the focus of the week?
No, I just finished up a very old, not really sci-fi, but definitely fantasy. The Shannara Chronicles that came out a couple of years back. I watched the first series when it came out, and then I started the second series. And then when it was announced it was cancelled, I didn't bother watching it. But my missus and I just got into it, and I got in and watched it to the end. And it's so annoying to see that to be continued when you know the series has been cancelled.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But, yeah.
I'm watching a few kind of films where aliens are taking over humanity. I watched The Puppet Masters the other day, which I thought was good. And there's another one that's named not The Hidden. Oh, The Hidden's another good one I've watched. And there's another one in a school with and they're taking over there. I think the name's gone out of me now. I can't think what it's called, but I do.
Faculty.
Faculty, yeah. I thought The Faculty is really quite good actually.
I think I might have seen it 30 years ago, but I don't really remember it.
No, I'm going through old films I've not seen. It's like Spaceballs. I've not seen that for a long time. But it's sometimes your perspective changes on certain films if you haven't seen them for a long time, whether it's positive or negative. But yeah, they're pretty good. But I'm not really watching anything much new at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the post with the picture of the Faculty, what I thought it was when I first saw the picture on the posting was there was an old 80s, there was a spate of killer robots kind of thing. And there was an old 80s film, maybe 90s, probably 80s, where a load of ex-military robots have been reprogrammed as school teachers. But it's a school with delinquents, and eventually the military programming, I've 40 years since I've seen this, so I might be a little bit wrong. The programming of the teachers their military stuff kicks in, and they basically start killing the kids because they're all delinquents. And I'm probably not explaining it exactly right.
No, but it's just the way,
and I thought that's what the Faculty was until I read the lineup, and it's definitely not that, but I'm going to have to find out what the other film is because it's well worth a review.
Yeah.
I remember it being that standard campy 80s silliness.
I love that.
It's kind of that very rare mix of 80s horror and sci-fi that very rarely works. But if I remember in this, it is quite good. But again, I was very young when I saw it, so I might be wrong.
Talking of 80s campiness, shall we go into our review of the week? What a link.
Yes, let's do it.
Right, let's do it. Here we go.
It's the Solar Sci-Fi Focus of the Week.
All right, so this week, or this episode, I keep saying this week because we're not on weekly at the moment, but we are talking about a film from 1987, which was created by Mel Brooks, who partly co-wrote it, he directed it, and he even appeared in this film. There's quite a lot of actors which you would recognise from the 80s, which again we've just been talking about as a great era for this sort of campiness. John Cann is in it, Rick Moranis is in it, quite a few others as well. Michael Winslow, even Joan Rivers plays the voice of an android. And that is, of course, Spaceballs, which is a direct sort of comedy spoof of all things science fiction. I think Star Wars is the predominant kind of story that they're focusing or taking the piss out of, but they also feature lots of other cameos and elements from other things. It's actually interesting that today when I watched it, there's a end scene where we see John Hurt and there's an alien ripping out, but on the actual parking area by the Winnebago, you do see the Millennium Falcon, it is a proper Millennium Falcon, which I never noticed before, which I thought was a quite interesting thing. So Spaceballs. Now, this is one of those films that you can sometimes watch an old film from the 80s and it's still really, really funny. And you can watch other films and it just looks tacky and cheesy and it doesn't work too well. Now, I have the fear that Mr. Patterson over there, it might be going in that direction. So with some certain trepidation and fear factors, Malcolm, what did you think of Spaceballs?
Okay, so just very quickly, there was another reference as well. I think one of the corridors, the serial number on the corridor is X57D, which
Right.
I think it's the ship from Forbidden Planet.
Oh, I didn't get that one.
C57D, I think it is. Yeah, it was the ship
Yeah,
from Forbidden
I
Planet.
didn't see that one.
Um,
Okay.
but anyway, yeah. So I remember what were we when this came out, 14, and it had huge billing. You know,
It was big.
going to
Yeah, I
try and
remember it was quite big. Yeah.
it was going to try and be the funny version of one of the biggest science fiction films of all time. And with great anticipation, we watched it, and it was one of the most boring films I've ever seen. I cannot believe that the same guy who did the incredible Blazing Saddles had anything to do with this film. There was just nothing in it. I came away for the last 30 years knowing that there's only two parts of the film I thought were quite funny. One was the ludicrous speed sketch, or the bit there, and the other one was, we ain't found shit. I thought at the time, I thought that was really funny.
Tim Russ, yeah.
When I watched this a second time round, obviously I knew those jokes were coming and they weren't funny at all. But again, I picked up on two more bits that did raise a chuckle. One was where he goes, "He's an asshole, sir," which I thought was quite funny. But then they carried the joke on. He's an asshole. There, oh, you're all assholes, and that just they killed what started was a very funny joke. They killed it. They overdid it, and they killed it. The only other bit in it where I did smirk was obviously where they jump through the door and they get caught. And they go, "When he turns around, he's got the fag," and he goes, "You've caught us. You've caught their stunt doubles."
Yeah,
that I thought was brilliant. That kind of fourth wall stuff kind of appeals to me. But other than that, it's so boring. Even the great John Candy can't save this film. Even he isn't funny in it. There's just nothing about this film that was good.
So
nothing.
Was it the pacing, or was it the whole storyline? What is it that really turned you off it from actually?
I think we've said before, science fiction comedy is really, really hard to do. Many have tried. Very, very few have pulled it off.
Red Dwarf has.
Add to the fact that parody comedy is also incredibly hard to do. Some pull it off, some don't. Yeah. And then it's kind of the middle of that road is just wacky, zany comedy. And again, very hard to pull off. And this fails on all three. It's just the jokes are not funny. They don't hit home. There's nothing about it that's funny.
But I mean, do you like certain films? I mean, I was a big fan of the sort of 80s comedies, similar things like Airplane, Naked Gun, which has a sort of similar humor. Is that something that's just not your cup of tea anyway, or would you say that it's more?
Airplane is brilliant.
Airplane 2 is in space.
Gun, Airplane 2 is great as well.
And I liked Airplane 2.
Yeah, the Naked Gun films are great. There was an old one, I haven't seen it for years, but there was a film, it's one of the early films with Val Kilmer, I think it's made by the same people, called Top Secret, where he's
Top Secret,
a spy.
Yeah, Top Secret, yeah.
That's
1941, that's another one as well, yeah.
Some of the scary movie stuff is funny to me, but only if I've seen the films they're riffing off or I recognise what the joke is. So I don't hold that against them that I just haven't seen the film they're taking the piss.
Yeah, because they did one of those was they did War of the Worlds.
Star Wars, and there were just no jokes in it. Just if you're going to make a funny film, you've got to be funny. You know, Rick Moranis is great. He's always great. But people always say, "Oh, Spaceballs." To me, his best role was always Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
always Ghostbusters.
I agree about that. Yeah, I mean, he is just the neighbour next door in Ghostbusters.
I mean, to me, in this, he's just phoning in a bad script. You know, that was just, and that's how I saw it way back when as well. I was just bored to tears with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was bored to tears with it, but I gave it a watch today, and I thought it was all right. It plods along. But and of course, going from the fact that this is like the mid '80s, which is one of my favourite eras for general sort of comedy in the cinema, but I do think that, as you say, I mean, Blazing Saddles also had scenes where it broke the fourth wall. There was actually broke out of it, and they ended up in a studio in Los Angeles or something. And they did try to break the fourth. I mean, I thought there was a clever bit where they were trying to watch the movie and see what happens, and they fast forward the cassette tape and they pause it and press play right at the exact time that the film is on. So they're watching the film of them at that exact moment, and then they're trying to. I thought that was quite clever, that scene.
Okay, yeah.
I thought
That
that
is
was
quite a
actually pretty
clever.
clever. Even though they didn't sort of fast forward, I thought that was clever because they were saying, "But we're watching it now, but we just seen it, but that's in the past. But if that's in the past, but it's not." Then I like that. I thought that was a clever bit. I like that bit. What did you think about the actual cast in general? I mean, obviously you've already said that you're disappointed with John Candy. You're saying that you like the actual cast, but they just had nothing to work with. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, I mean, no one can knock Bill Pullman. He's had an extensive career. You literally can't say anything against John Candy. I mean,
No,
this
John Candy's
to my
brilliant.
the best of my knowledge, this is for me the only clunker in his whole list of films. I can't think of another film he did where I walked away not laughing myself silly. Um, the actress, I mean, she could be honest, she never really did anything. She did a couple of bits after this, but not much.
No, she
Nothing
wasn't
to
in much.
really bring her name. And
Yeah.
obviously, Rick Moranis was great, but to me, Rick Moranis will always be Ghostbusters and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I don't even think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is that funny. I know I'm in a
I don't think
minority on that. It's
I've
clever. It's
never
cleverly
watched it. I
done.
don't think I've ever watched it. I've got it. I've never watched it. If I did, I can't
I,
remember it.
I would certainly give it a go. The first one, definitely, I would give it a go because
Oh yeah,
it
but then
is
they have
quite
sequel
cleverly
after
done.
sequel.
But
Yeah.
he gets top billing. Like, as I remember rightly, he's not even in the films that much. It's more about the first one's more about his kids, so
Mm.
he's not even really in it that much.
Yeah.
But there you go. And everybody else in the film really were kind of no namers. The Pizza of the Hut gag, because it was right at the very beginning, and it annoyed me this time, and I remember it annoyed me back in the past, was I just thought it was a shit gag, and it that kind of set me up for the whole. I thought, oh, that's where we've set the bar, is it? Like literally at ground level.
Mm.
And who is it that plays Pizza of the Hut? He's a famous actor as well.
Who was it? I don't remember because obviously you couldn't recognise
Oh,
who the actor was.
Dom DeLuise, I think.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure
Dom
it's Dom
DeLuise.
DeLuise.
And of course, I
Yeah,
remember him from Stargate and of course Cannonball Run. So yeah,
yeah,
Dom
yeah.
DeLuise. Yeah, so that was good. But I didn't recognise him until you just said because he was looking like a pizza, which was a bit odd. There are also other movie cameos. There was I quite like the Planet of the Apes bit when they see the Statue of Liberty, but it's
Oh yeah,
they.
yeah.
I thought that was quite good, and they said something like, "Oh, we ain't seen shit," or so. I don't know. They made some sort of comment about it, and then I said, "What's coming out of out of her nose?" I thought that was quite funny. I quite like that bit. The Transformer thing, the big ship turning into a major kind of micro. What was it Mega Maid or something? There was some weird name for
Yeah,
that.
again, I really hated that back in the day as well.
Yeah. Okay.
The model, to be fair, one of the pluses, the model shop for Spaceball One was incredible. I mean, that was on par with any kind of massive sci-fi blockbuster. That was a really well-made model.
Mm.
The obviously the Winnebago was crap, and her little spaceship was crap, but the Spaceball One was a brilliant piece of kit. Somebody should have been proud of whoever made that.
Well, I mean,
That could have easily been part of any big budget film.
and of course, the first 5 minutes us panning by the whole ship going by, a la Star Wars. I don't know. I still quite liked it. I mean, I don't know. I think watching it again today, I came in after because you told me you saw it and you said, "Oh, I had to endure this." I thought, oh, "Okay, well, let's give it a go." But I did quite like it actually. I could see that a lot of the actors weren't utilized for their capacities. Again, good actors, but the characters weren't very strong, well defined. But I still think it was good. I think the special effects were pretty good in it. I mean, the spaceships. I know that they looked crap because they were supposed to be, but the actual special effects of the ship scenes looked pretty good. Yeah, I mean, again, there's so many nods. Of course, John Hurt was in it, which of course was a nice scene. I remember the first time I saw that and realizing it was a complete rip-off of Alien. I thought that was quite fun. But again, it's one of those things. Also, isn't this one of those films? You know, certain comedy films you could see again and again and again, and there's so many things you could look forward to. Like one of my favorites is Trading Places. I watch that almost every Christmas, and I just laugh every time because it's just exemplary. It's just the whole thing from the start to finish is just classic, and it just stays with you. A film like this, it is a film that you have to take a lot longer to actually watch again, especially with you if it's been like 20, 30 years, whatever it is. So that might be indicative of the fact that it's not the best comedy out there because, as you say, it's not those moments where you think, oh, here comes the scene when that happens. You don't get a lot of that in this movie. So I can see what you're saying. So I suppose before we do the ratings, and if we would keep a copy of it, any other comments you want to say about it?
Not really. I mean, we'll see what happens with the sequel. Whether they go, I'm intrigued with the sequel. Whether, because it's Mel Brooks, whether he is going to be watered down and politically correct, acceptable humor,
well, this is the same with any comedy,
or whether he's just not going to give a shit and just go for it, and like Uber go for it as well.
I would hope that he would go for it. I would hope he would go for it, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff these days. You're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to do that kind of thing. So,
yeah, but when it's cute, when you know it's a comedy thing, see, it's really weird that animations like your Family Guy and Rick and Morty, the stuff they get away with. Possibly Rick and Morty really only riffs on science fiction stuff, but Family Guy, the stuff that Family Guy gets away with on that front, that if it was a live action comedy show, it'd have gone off the air years ago. So there's a really weird double standard out there on that kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, you've said about
it's odd.
I will try it because obviously Rick and Morty is a science fiction comedy. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I will try it at some point. I am always turned off by animation, and I think it's partly because of the Lower Decks thing, which I've talked about a million times with you before. But I know you do sing its praises, so I will at some point.
I don't really. I'm not a massive fan of animation myself for the same reason. I haven't really watched animation since back in the days when I watched, like the Battle of the Planets.
Yeah,
and stuff. I don't really
Ulysses 31 or something. Yeah,
but you forget very quickly that Rick and Morty is an animated show. It is just genius level comedy. And if you've seen the films or you're getting the pop culture references, which you will, and there will be some real fucking obscure ones in there where you'll think, Jesus, I thought I was the only one who'd ever seen that film and all that. But yeah, it is easily one of the funniest shows ever made. Certainly about sci-fi.
Well, if it's about science fiction, then I shall definitely.
Yeah. And I strongly urge, give it at least 3 episodes. It took me 2 or 3 attempts to get past the first episode, and then I finally got to. There's a point in the first episode that's about a third of the way through where I nearly died laughing when the punchline came. And from that moment on, I was kind of hooked. But I would say give it 2 or 3 series, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I've seen the first one. I don't really get into it."
Yeah, you should give it. Yeah, I mean, some shows they need to be a slow burn to really sort of take off, kind of thing. So, yeah.
The same people did another one that's on the Disney Channel called Solar Opposites, about some aliens that were escaping from their planet and have crash landed on Earth and they're not trying to assimilate. Everybody knows they're aliens and all that, but that's less on the pop culture references, but it's just really funny, but really below the belt humor. Again, I don't know how they got away with half the shit.
Was this another animated series?
It's really bad.
Was this?
It's animated as well. Yeah. Same team, exactly same team. But they have it's almost like 2 cartoons. One is about the family, and the other one is about whenever the young school kid, gets pissed off by a human, he miniaturizes the human and he puts them inside this wall in his bedroom. And the show splits between him and what's going on inside the wall. And the stuff inside the wall is basically just a kind of a parody of every single apocalypse film, TV show you've ever seen. It's
and
just
all in it, or
where people have been miniaturized.
Okay.
And they could literally take the wall and make a TV series of just that just the wall, themselves. Yeah. Okay. It's just so funny.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, listen, thank you.
And it's the same thing we did Lower Decks. So I don't know why Lower Decks is so shit.
Well, no, I just don't understand either. I mean, I have, and I've laughed about 3 times in 5 seasons. So I don't know, it's just something not right.
Well, I did really enjoy the Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover last year. I thought that was really well done, to be fair.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought that was good. And I actually like the musical as well from Strange New Worlds, even though everybody hated that. But I actually thought it was quite good as a one-off. Just don't do it again. But so let's just quickly wrap this up then. So, what would you give this out of 10? It's going to be low. It's going to be low.
I'm leaning towards a 4, but it's so hugely popular. it's so hugely popular. I'll bump it up to 5. I said maybe it's just me being a cynic that just didn't find the jokes funny, so I'll give them a 5.
I'm going to give it a 6.5. I like some of it, but again, compared to some of these films that's made at the same time, it's not got rewatchability, which is a shame because I think there's a lot of elements that it just didn't quite ignite. But I don't dislike it. I'm on the fence. I think 6.5 is a fair. Would you have it in your collection?
No, because there's not really, because there's no completist element. Like, it's not part of the series I need to add on, and it's not a film that I would ever watch again. So for me, it would just be taking up valuable space.
Taking up the
that
space in
something
your
better
shelf.
could be.
Yeah, I think I would keep it, but I wouldn't watch it very often. So
See, behind you there now. Now there's somebody who knew how to do sci-fi comedy.
Oh, Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, that was. Yeah. Again, we already said this, that comedy is and science fiction it's very, very hard to meld together. But I mean, I like Mars Attacks. I thought that was very funny, sort of sci-fi comedy.
Again, that got massive billing, and I never really thought that was that good. I've only ever seen it once because I just can't be asked to watch it again. But maybe I
must have seen it 20 times. I've seen it loads.
But I just never found that funny.
Yeah. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. We're all different. Well, listen, thanks for joining me. We are now going to be on our summer hiatus, so I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing when we come back. I know that Malcolm has still got 1 or 2 suggestions as well, so I'll talk with you and Martin, and we'll be back in September. I know it's a big, long gap, but I need a break, and we've got all our own commitments.
To be fair, I'm in Poland for the whole of August, so it will be the internet there out in the house is kind of.
So there might be a better idea.
Recording anything anyway.
Okay. Well, listen. Enjoy Poland. Have a great summer. Thanks to everybody who's checked
out
the actual podcast, and we'll be back in September. Strange New Worlds, Alien Earth, and I'm sure there's plenty of other movies that Malcolm and Martin can suggest to me, and we'll cover. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on the Solo on Sci-Fi podcast.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we, cut through all the noise articles, research notes to really pull out the key insights just for you. Today, we're diving into, the sheer breadth of science fiction.
Yeah.
It's huge, right? Everything from massive space battles to really personal character stories. And even then, everyone seems to have totally different takes on what works. So our mission today, it's a tailored exploration based on the material you send over. We're focusing on what's new in Star Trek and also a classic sci-fi comedy film. The goal is basically to give you the essentials, maybe some surprising bits, a shortcut to feeling, properly clued in, with a few laughs along the way, hopefully. And I'm joined, as always, by our expert guide. Your insights are always invaluable for these deep dives. It's been, 5.5 years of the deep dive? Amazing. And you've been with us for nearly a year now. Our third member's off doing other creative things, but it's great having you here.
Oh, it's always good to be here. My first one was Peter Cushing films, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Feels like ages ago. Yeah, always ready to get into it.
Great. So let's get started. We've been off for a bit, and it feels like the big thing everyone's talking about is Star Trek. Strange New Worlds. I've managed to catch the first 2 episodes of the new season. What about you? What were your first impressions, especially maybe going back a bit?
Well, the first episode of the new season, really enjoyed it, actually. I went back and rewatched the end of season 2 first. Good thing I did. I'd sort of mixed it up in my head with that Balance of Terror style episode from season 1, The Romulan cloaking device one.
Ah, right. Easy to do.
Yeah, so rewatching helped get the current thread straight in my mind. But my main issue with Strange New Worlds, and this goes back to season 1 really, is just the whole prequel problem. You've got characters like Spock, Chapel, Pelia. They're, future-proofed? We know they make it to the original series.
Right.
So it kind of kills the stakes, doesn't it? If you know they survive, where's the real tension when they're in danger?
That's the fundamental trap of a prequel, yeah. How do you make us worry when we already know the ending for some?
Exactly. It's like they have plot armor. Now, they have introduced new characters who can be in real jeopardy, which is good, but for the main crew, it can be a bit frustrating. Take Christine Chapel. The actress is doing a fine job, I think, but the writing, like that recent near-death thing, it just felt annoying, frankly, because she's fine. The stakes aren't real. Whereas, remember that blind engineer? The Anar. excellent character, and they killed him off. That showed real stakes.
Yeah, I heard the actor, who is actually blind, found the filming schedule too tough, which is a real shame. He was great.
That makes sense. A shame indeed. But speaking of frustrating writing, episode 2, that Spock-Chapel romance thing, it just feels so wrong compared to how they were set up later. In TOS, Spock's basically Mr. Emotionless, right? No interest in romance, not even with his fiancée.
Yeah, it does make you wonder how they'll bridge that gap. How does he become that Spock? Maybe something really traumatic happens after she leaves with Roger Corbin, forces him to just shut down emotionally.
It feels like that's the only way they can explain it, doesn't it? Because there was zero hint of that relationship in TOS. And those kinds of retroactive changes,
right,
they can really pull you out of it, I find. Undermine the consistency.
Speaking of consistency, Roger Corbin. I actually went back and watched What Are Little Girls Made Of? From TOS.
Yeah.
And in Strange New Worlds, he's got this noticeable Irish accent.
Yeah.
But in the TOS episode, where he's an android, no accent. Minor detail, I know, but...
But they add up, don't they? These little things. It raises questions about how much freedom a prequel should take. And it's not just accents. Look at the Gorn resolution. They all just went dormant. Felt very much like the Borg in Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah, I see the parallel.
That, plus other bits and pieces. It makes it harder and harder to see Strange New Worlds as a direct prequel in the same timeline. Feels more like a parallel universe, maybe? Or just, looser canon.
And definitely leaning that way. And remember the whole K-Tanga ship thing last year? That caused a stir.
Oh, don't get me started.
For anyone who missed it, they changed the timeline for when that Klingon ship design appeared, even though there were time travelers supposedly there to prevent changes.
Yeah, I argued about that online endlessly. People tried to explain it away, but my point was, if the whole point of the time agents is to protect history, why let that slide? It just felt like lazy writing, sacrificing their own rules for a plot point. Rubbish, really.
Okay, so lots of continuity debates. But where does the show succeed? What are the high points for you?
Oh, visually, it's stunning. The sets, the effects, absolutely fantastic. This is what Discovery should have looked like, in my opinion. Some argue they're similar, but I think Strange New Worlds just has a higher quality, a better feel to its production design.
Agreed on the visuals, mostly. My big visual gripe, though, that plexiglass view screen on the Enterprise bridge, just feels so wrong. Like one micrometeorite in the bridge decompresses. The original show had a proper screen, not a giant window.
Totally impractical. It breaks the illusion for me. They had it in Discovery, too, and the Kelvin movies.
Yeah, thankfully Picard seasons 2 and 3 went back to a proper digital screen on the Stargazer and the Titan A. That felt right.
A definite miss, that screen. But the cast, Anson Mount as Pike, just brilliant. Superb.
It really is. And, if you haven't seen Hale and Wheels, you absolutely should. He's maybe even better in that. And he's great here. Stars with Cole Meany.
Oh, fantastic show. And Meany's always great value. I also, I quite like Jess Bush as Chapel, even with my issues with the writing. And Christina Chong as Lazarian, another strong one. And maybe my favorite, actually, is Dr. M'Benga.
Oh, yeah.
His whole presence, his voice, just captivating. And it's cool that he was actually in a couple of original episodes, too.
Right. What about the new Scotty? First impressions? I know his accent's been controversial, even though the actor is Scottish.
Yeah, it stood out. And not really in a good way for me, unfortunately. Even though he is Scottish, it sounded forced. Like he was deliberately trying to Scottify his natural accent even more. It was just a bit jarring. Took me out of it.
Okay. Early days for him. Maybe it'll settle. And Pelia, played by Carol Kane.
Pelia. Look, the actress is obviously very talented. Carol Kane is great, but I find the character quite annoying, actually.
Annoying how? What doesn't click for you?
Well, she's sort of set up as this quirky comic relief, right? But it doesn't quite work for me. She's clearly smart, competent. She taught Scotty. She fixes things. She's a top engineer. But then she flips into this dippy, silly mode. It just feels out of place in a military structure. And Starfleet is a military structure, whatever people say. It's based directly on the U.S. Navy. So her personality, it just clashes with that hierarchy, feels like a bit of a one-trick character, and the trick doesn't always fit.
It's interesting because Carol Kane is so known for those kinds of quirky roles, like in Taxi or Scrooged. Feels like they leaned right into that persona.
Yeah, it may be too much for this setting. I do get that impression.
Okay, so that's Strange New Worlds. I'm still mostly enjoying it, despite some of these points. What else is on the sci-fi radar? Alien Earth looks interesting, coming soon. Are you looking forward to the new Superman movie?
I'll watch it eventually. Probably when it hits streaming. The trailer didn't really grab me enough for a cinema trip, Tickets aren't cheap these days.
I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit burned out on Superman reboots. Just constant new versions. For me, Christopher Reeve, that's Superman. We've had so many since film, TV. I'm just fatigued.
That's interesting. See, for me, Henry Cavill felt much more like Superman. He had that alien quality, you know, felt more convincing as someone not from Earth. Reeve was iconic, definitely. And I liked Tom Welling in Smallville. Even Tyler Hoechlin now is pretty good. But Cable, he captured the otherness best for me.
Huh. Just goes to show, doesn't it? Even within one character, totally different takes resonate.
Exactly. And it highlights how broad sci-fi is. We both say we like sci-fi, but what that means can be vastly different. Hard sci-fi, space opera, dystopia.
Superheroes, dramas.
Yeah. Think about films like Android or Silent Running. Where do they fit? Silent Running is basically a drama about the environment and loneliness, just set in space.
Yeah.
We reviewed that one. It's powerful stuff.
A great film.
But yeah, some things just don't fit neat boxes. Shows the genre's diversity.
Which is great. But sometimes it feels like that diversity gets ignored, especially awards-wise. Did you see Doctor Who got its first ever Emmy nomination? After 62 years?
I did see that.
I have, let's say, strong feelings about award shows. Emmys, Oscars, Grammys. Feels like a bit of a boys' club, lots of back scratching.
Oh, I completely agree. My first thought when I heard about Doctor Who was, right, well, the Emmys often ignore the really good stuff, so maybe Doctor Who actually has a chance because the awards often get it wrong.
Cynical, but maybe true.
It feels more about popularity or politics than actual quality sometimes, doesn't it? And that affects how genres like sci-fi are seen.
Exactly. Often totally disconnected from what audiences love or what's genuinely innovative. Best just to watch stuff yourself, make up your own mind. Anything else you've got recently before we move on?
Let's see. I finished the Shannara Chronicles, older fantasy show. Watched season 1 years ago, then it got canceled. My partner and I just finished it off. So frustrating when a canceled show ends on to be continued.
Oh, the worst.
Leaves you totally hanging. Also rewatched some older alien takeover films. The Puppet Masters, quite good, I thought. The Hidden was interesting too. Oh, and The Faculty, set in a school. Aliens taking over students. Robert Rodriguez film. Actually pretty decent, surprisingly.
You know, seeing the poster for The Faculty reminded me of this old 80s film I've been trying to place for ages.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those killer robot flicks. Ex-military robots reprogrammed as teachers in a school for troubled kids. Then, predictably, their military programming kicks back in. They start, eliminating the students. Yeah. Classic, cheesy 80s stuff. My memory's hazy, but I need to find that film again. Definitely not The Faculty, but similar vibe.
Sounds like prime 80s schlock. That sci-fi horror mix from that era could be rough, but sometimes gold.
Well, speaking of 80s campiness and sci-fi comedy, perfect transition to our main focus this week.
Yes, let's do it.
Right. So this week's deep dive is into Mel Brooks' 1987 film, Spaceballs. Brooks co-wrote, directed, acted in it, the works. Proper 80s cast, too. John Candy, Rick Moranis, Michael Winslow, Joan Rivers facing the android dot matrix. It's obviously a big spoof, mainly Star Wars, but chucks in references to loads of other sci-fi stuff, too. I actually noticed today, watching it again in that final diner scene with John Hurt, there's a proper Millennium Falcon model parked next to the Winnebago. Never spotted that before. Anyway, Spaceballs. It's one of those 80s comedies. Some hold up brilliantly, others feel a bit dated, maybe cheesy now. Tests that rewatchability factor. And I have a sneaking suspicion you might lean towards the dated camp on this one, so
yeah,
bracing myself. What did you think of Spaceballs this time around?
Okay, well, before I unload, another little reference I caught. A corridor number is C57D. That's the ship from Forbidden Planet.
Nice. Deep cut.
Yeah. But Spaceballs itself, look, I remember the hype when it came out. Huge deal, right? The comedy version of Star Wars. Watched it with massive anticipation, and honestly, it was one of the most boring films I think I've ever seen. I still find it hard to believe Mel Brooks, the guy behind Blazing Saddles, made this.
Oh, boring. That's harsh.
I know, and for 30 years, I've held on to 2 jokes I thought were funny. Ludicrous Speed and Dark Helmet saying, "We ain't found S." But watching it now, knowing they were coming, they just fell flat. The novelty wore off, I guess. I will say, though, 2 moments did get a smirk out of me this time. One was the "he's an S, sir" line, though they milked it a bit too long by repeating it. Yeah. The other was when they get caught and someone yells, "You caught the stunt doubles." That was actually clever, that meta joke.
Yeah, I like that bit, too.
But apart from those, just a slog. Even John Candy, who's usually amazing, just wasn't funny in it.
So what was it? The pacing, the jokes themselves.
I think it comes down to this. Sci-fi comedy, really hard to pull off. Very few actually nail it. Parody comedy, also really hard. And Spaceballs tries to do both, plus this kind of wacky, zany humor on top. And for me, it just it fails on all three counts. The jokes don't land sharply enough, you know.
But what about other 80s parodies you like? Airplane, Naked Gun, they have similar zany humor.
But Airplane and Naked Gun are genius. Airplane 2, the Naked Gun sequels, even Top Secret with Val Kilmer, brilliant stuff. Why? Because the jokes are relentless, they're clever, they work. Even if you don't get every single reference, Spaceballs doesn't hit that level of sophisticated silliness like Rick Moranis, usually great. But here, it felt like he was just, I don't know, phoning in a bad script, didn't have much to work with. His best stuff is Ghostbusters, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, easy.
See, I wasn't bored exactly, but after you warned me, I watched it again today feeling a bit nervous. I'd say it was, all right, it just sort of plods along. And given its mid-'80s, my favorite comedy era, I kind of expected more. Blazing Saddles, like you said, also broke the fourth wall brilliantly. And I did think the bit where they watched their own movie on VHS was pretty clever, fast-forwarding to see what happens next in their own plot. That meta stuff worked for me.
Yeah, okay. That specific fourth wall break was inspired. A flash of Brooks's usual cleverness there.
And the cast generally.
Yeah.
You weren't keen on Candy. Was it the actors or just the material they had?
Definitely the material. John Candy's had an amazing career, right? This is maybe the only film I can think of where he just didn't make me laugh. Rick Moranis, great actor, but yeah, Ghostbusters, Honey, I Shrunk, those are his iconic comedy roles. He just wasn't firing on all cylinders here. And that Pizza the Hut gag right at the start, voiced by Dom DeLuise, just felt like a really cheap, kind of gross joke. Set a bad tone for me straight away.
Dom DeLuise. Yeah, Stargate, Cannonball Run, Pizza the Hut was certainly a character. Visually, some other bits landed. I like the Planet of the Apes gag with Statue of Liberty and Spaceball 1 turning into the giant vacuum cleaner. Mega made
bit. Another one that didn't really work for me, honestly, but I will give credit where it's due. The actual model work for Spaceball 1. Incredible. Seriously. That ship model was top-notch. Could have been in any serious sci-fi blockbuster. Really well done. The Winnebago and the Princess's ship looked deliberately crap, obviously, but Spaceball 1 was quality.
Yeah, and the film opens with that super long panning shot of it, just like Star Wars. I still found bits to like. I agree the actors maybe weren't used to their full potential. The characters weren't super strong. But the spaceship effects, even the silly ones, looked decent for the time. And yeah, the John Hurt alien chestburster scene, that's a fun classic cameo. It brings up that whole rewatchability thing, doesn't it? Some comedies, like, say, Trading Places for me, you can watch endlessly and still laugh. They're classics because every bit works. Spaceballs feels more like you need a long break before you'd maybe watch it again. You don't really anticipate specific hilarious moments coming up. Maybe that says something. Any final thoughts before we rate it?
Just, there's talk of Spaceballs 2. If Brooks actually does it, will it be watered down, politically correct, or will he go full Mel Brooks? That's the question.
Oh, I'd hope he'd go for it, no holds barred. But it touches on that thing people talk about, the sort of double standard in comedy now.
Yeah.
Like animated shows, Family Guy, Rick and Morty seem to get away with much edgier, more incorrect humor than live action stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's a real thing. I think part of it is, well, animation feels less real, maybe, gives them more leeway, and the perceived audience might be different.
Right. I struggle with animation sometimes, I admit. Always hesitant to start new ones. But you've really pushed Rick and Morty before, and it is sci-fi comedy.
Look, I'm not a huge animation guy either, not since things like Battle of the Planets back in the day. Yeah. But Rick and Morty, you honestly forget it's animated pretty quickly. It's just genius level comedy. Seriously. If you know your sci-fi, your pop culture, you'll pick up on so many references, some really obscure ones. It's easily one of the funniest sci-fi shows out there. Give it 3 episodes. That's my advice. Took me a couple of tries with the first one, then about halfway through the third, this one joke landed so perfectly. I was totally hooked.
Okay, 3 episodes.
Fair
enough. Sometimes you do need to give things a proper chance.
Exactly. And the same guys did Solar Opposites, too, on Disney Plus. Of aliens crash on Earth, less pop culture heavy, more just, really funny, often quite rude below-the-belt humor. And the genius thing about Solar Opposites is the wall subplot.
The what?
The kid alien shrinks down humans who annoy him and puts them in this terrarium wall in his bedroom. And that whole subplot, because this amazing parody of every post-apocalyptic survival story ever, like the tiny society evolving in the wall, it's brilliant. Could be its own show.
That sounds completely nuts. Okay, clearly better than Lower Decks was for us.
Ugh, Lower Decks. Still don't get it. 5 seasons, barely cracked a smile.
No. Didn't connect with that one either. Though, fair play, that Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover last year, That actually worked surprisingly well.
Yeah, I'll give him that. That crossover was good.
And you know what? I actually quite enjoyed the musical episode of Strange New Worlds, too. I know fans were divided, but as a one-off, it was bold, kind of fun.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, Tim. Judgment time for Spaceballs. Score out of 10.
It's got to be low. I'm thinking of 4, but okay. It's clearly popular with some people, so I'll nudge it up to a 5. Maybe I'm just grumpy and missed the jokes, but yeah, 5.
I'm going 6.5. I liked parts, but compared to the great 80s comedies, doesn't quite hold up for rewatching. Lots of it just fizzled a bit. Don't hate it, but yeah. 6.5 feels about right. Would you keep a copy in your collection?
Nah, no way. It's not part of a series I need, and I genuinely wouldn't choose to watch it again. Just taking up space.
I think
Yeah.
I probably would keep it, but it wouldn't get played often.
Unlike the show on the poster behind you right now,
Hey.
That's how you do sci-fi comedy.
Red Dwarf, absolutely. Always said it's one of the toughest genre blends to get right, though he still maintained Mars Attacks is a successful one. Found that hilarious.
See, Mars Attacks, another one that got huge hype, and I just didn't get it. Saw it once, never felt the need to revisit. Maybe I should give it another go someday.
Oh, you should. I must have seen it 20 times. But hey, that's the fun of it, right? Different tastes make for better chats. Well, thanks again for another great deep dive. We are heading into our summer break now. I know it's a fair gap until September, but we both got things on, need a bit of downtime.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll actually be in Poland for all of August. So getting online to record would be tricky anyway.
Okay, well, enjoy Poland. Have a great summer. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back in September. Plenty more to dive into, then more Strange New World, hopefully Alien Earth, loads of other films and shows. So thank you, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
And as you head off, maybe think about this, how science fiction in all its wild variety is always changing, always challenging what we expect. Sometimes it annoys us with continuity stuff, sure, but it always gives us new worlds to explore and, well, definitely sparks some passionate debates like ours today. And maybe that very diversity is what makes exploring it so worthwhile.
Turn it up loud, feel the beat. Walk speed, engines, no defeat. Solar One, the pulse that heats.